Deze is hartstikke awesome Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. What's up, guys? Let's do this. How are you doing, Alex?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a bit busted up. Like you found out about it, so I'll just tell the insiders real quick.
Let's tell everybody.
So I got into a pretty major car wreck.
Yeah.
On Monday.
Say.
And I'll give you everyone the Cliff Notes version. So I was driving and I was a half a block from where I needed to go. I could see my destination, and somebody cuts off this big energy truck that's in front of me, and it was really wet. And so when he hit the brakes, I hit the brakes. I hydroplaned right into him. Oh my gosh, I could have hit this guy going 90 and it wouldn't have touched his truck. That's how hard I hit him. That's how big the truck was. I got busted up pretty good, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never hit anything that hard. So crazy. I know I just told you, but my hands are on the steering wheel. When the airbag hit me, I flew and I punched a hole in the windshield.
Wow.
So everybody trying to say I'm just a kicker who can't punch. I punch holes in windshield, sucker.
Wow.
Man.
That's wild, man. I'm glad you're safe.
The hand's actually not that bad. It says I just got a few cuts. I couldn't believe it.
That's what's weird to me, man. How is the hand not that bad?
I don't, because when I hit, like, I was like, I did not move. The guy who came up that I hit, he came up to the passenger side window, he's knocking on it, make sure I was okay. And I was like Mortal Kombat, like, finish him. I was like all sorts of like dazed.
Jeez.
So, and I looked and I had blood all down my arm, everything. It looked like I freaking was in like a Game of Thrones battle war or something like that. So, man, I was all sorts of, but my Alex still hurts, man. I'm telling you. And here's what was wild. So I was on my way to do a wedding, right?
Right.
I know. On a Monday.
Yeah. Wedding on a Monday. All right.
Oh my gosh, man. These people, I'm gonna tell you this.
Man, they're running out of days to get married, all right, man. I mean, what can you say?
They were nice people.
Yeah.
But everything they did was interesting. I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna leave it alone, so I'll keep the show going. Like, her last name was Boone, and his last name was Jancic, but their last name is Ravenwood. I don't get it. And so I asked somebody, because they look like they're Dungeons and Dragons players, right? So I'm like, what's the deal, dude? I'm not playing with you. They had like this battle, like armbands, like these leather armbands, and I'm like,
Nice.
what's the deal with the armbands, guys? What's going on? And they say, oh, this is the Ravenwood family crest. So I start processing. So I go, so why are you guys wearing it? And he goes, oh no, that's their family crest. So I don't leave well enough alone.
Right.
So I go, no, it's not. And he's like, no. He looked it up. That's their family crest. I go, no, it's not. Just because I like the last name Jackson,
right,
and I changed my name to that, doesn't immediately make that my family, because I don't have any family last name Jackson.
Right.
So, and they're not getting it, and now I'm like, I don't need to argue with anybody. So I just let it go. No. But I just, you know me, man. I just can't let stuff go sometimes.
No.
So I'm just like, no, that's not it. As much as you want to say that's the family crest, it's not. But whatever. So they're super weird. So yeah, man. So I've been dealing with this. The only two things now, I got to get a new car because that thing is totaled.
Yeah, I saw that. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, dude.
So you got a busy couple weeks ahead, man.
The two things I never want to do in life, unless I have to, is I never want to get a new car.
Yeah.
And I never want to get a new cell phone.
Those
I
are
would
the
keep
worst experiences ever. I know.
worst.
It
And
is.
people are like, oh, cell phone's not that bad. And like they always say, like, oh, 15 minutes will just transfer everything over. And
No.
you sit there and an hour and
Hours.
45 later, they're like, I don't know why it's not transferring. I don't know.
Yep.
Well, I don't know why your bill is
Exactly.
$460 a month. Like, I don't know.
The worst is going in there and they know they can't help you, and the only thing they can do is get on the phone and call, which you can do at home. But the problem is, it's actually like you actually need to go in for them to kind of bypass all the crap, because the people on this is what I'm dealing with right now with AT&T is they'll be like, I'm like, hey, I need a new router for my internet. How about just switch? I'm going to send you the old one. You send me a new one. Oh, no, we have to start a whole new account and a whole new line. No, I don't want another line because I know what's going to happen. Then I have to call you back and sit on the phone for 2 hours. And then you not cancel, and you try to encourage me to get something else new. It's like, what?
You said it.
Dude,
Said
it's
it.
all
Now,
bad.
wait a minute. I'm a pause for a moment. You say you have AT&T?
Yeah, I have AT&T.
Do you like it?
It's okay. I just don't like dealing with that.
I don't like dealing with that. I thought I liked it, but as you could
Yeah, I did
tell, my home internet is
Yeah, I know.
which is why I'm not home. All right. And I have AT&T. So I don't know if I'm
Oh,
just like,
man.
maybe I just outed all of AT&T. I have no idea. Right.
Whatever. Yeah.
But I know that they're great, except for like my house. I don't know what's up with that, but whatever.
All right, guys.
Moving
So
on to
moving
actual
on,
inside
we
scoop
have
news.
our sponsor, Virtual Fight Tour, Jesse Ray. He's got coming up King of New York, September 24th. It's going to be a banger.
Yep.
Always one of the great tournaments, and excited to finally have it back. And just seeing everyone at excuse me, at DC this past weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited about it. Jesse's pumped up for the event. He's got, lots going on with that. I mean, I think it's going to be one of their biggest ones, that there is. So yeah.
Well, we really think about like the tournaments this year, because there's been at times such a gap in between decent sized events.
Yeah.
Right. And you've been on this train for a while saying like, no, it's going to be all about the local tournaments. It's going to be about the local tournaments are going to be king now.
Yep.
It's going to go back to what it was. Like we're going to go back to kind of what it was in the 90s a little bit, to where, you had regions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people would go to different regions, and then occasionally we'll get a couple of events where everybody
goes. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we're at. But I think this might be one of them where people are like, oh yeah, that's where people go. And another one like that, I think, is the North Georgia Open. Like people just kind of find themselves there. And one of the reasons is people like Jim Haymore.
Yep. Just like people like Jesse Ray.
I don't know anybody who doesn't like Jesse Ray.
Right.
Jesse Ray, I don't need to say it over and over again. I'll tell you, he's my favorite. He's my favorite coach. I think of the last few years, I think he's been fantastic.
Yep.
But he was also the coach of the WKC national team.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's coming from Richard Plowden being the president, and he was kind of wearing both hats, but then looked at that, and I think rightly so, I need to hand this off to somebody.
Yeah.
Who's going to be best fit, who's going to be the best coach, who's going to be the most respected, and who supports it the most. It's Jesse Ray, right? So that's why I think King of New York is going to be a big deal. I'm disappointed that not enough teams really jumped on board and went, let's do this, put up or shut up. I think that would have been, if all the teams jumped on, that might have been an event that we would have just talked about for years and years and years.
Right.
Like, remember the time when all the teams went? And there's a few tournaments like that where you talk about, like when everybody was there. I think about the first year of the super fights at the Diamond Nationals. At that time, every major fighter was really competing in that, except for Jody Tension, right? He wasn't at the tournament. But other than that, everybody was there. Right. Yep. Everybody was fighting. And so it was a big freaking deal. Right. And so, So then you have like, it's like, definitely, you knew like for that year, that was it. It
Mhm.
turned out that's exactly how it should have turned out, right? And I thought that was one of my favorite ones for that type of tournament. You know, you
Right.
do the same type of things with other tournaments. You do the same type of things with other form tournaments as well. You know, back in the day, like, you know, who won the French Open? That was a
Right.
big deal.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
It was a big deal. And I think this would have been, the you can't make this shit up moment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it'll go into somewhere else. So I think there's lots of things going on, and Jesse is not done. He's got even more ideas coming up. So let's just, we're
Well,
just
because we
excited to be
got
a part of it.
the USA versus Europe thing at
Yeah,
Bristol
which is going to
Open.
be insane.
My
So
goodness, that
it's
might
going to be
be
awesome.
that might be the biggest tournament of the year. It
Yeah.
really might. I think it has all the capability of being the biggest and best event of the year.
All right. So, Alex, we are going to start off today with competitors of the week. So, I'm going to go with my competitor of the week.
Sure.
That's the one that I saw at Capital Classics. And I've known this girl for a while. She is from the Maryland area. Competitor of the week is Caitlyn Vaughn. So, Caitlyn Vaughn, she is a Korean stylist, Taekwondo stylist, amazing kicker, has some of the best side kicks I've seen. And this weekend was on stage twice for creative weapons or musical weapons and musical forms, and showed off kicks, which was awesome, right? We don't see that very often. And she also was a great fighter. She did a great job fighting and using those kicks. Normally, she'll do Korean forms as well. I didn't see her competing that this weekend, as I think she was just focusing on the creative side. I would love to see her be competing, and she just got picked up on CBR, which is Christine Ben Rodriguez's team. So she hopefully will be out more instead of just at the local event for her. So
Right.
she has precision and focus with those kicks, and I think she still has a long ways to go because she can she has that style of someone from the DMV, right? Of a kicking like a Gemma Yuen or a Charlie Lee type style. But
That's a
she trains with the Khan brothers and stuff like that, right? From that same academy. But I feel like she still has another gear to turn up. She was amazing junior competitor and competed, great as a junior on NASCA. But I think now it's time to really step it up. And so I'm excited to see what she does. So we saw her on stage this week. So that's my competitor of the week, Caitlyn Vaughn.
Well, I want to, you know what, as we were kind of talking about her before the show, and then since you started talking, my gears start turning. What do you think? Who is she comparable to as a kicker? Because you mentioned that she's like a fantastic kicker. Like, who's she comparable to?
Let's see. I mean, her sidekick, it's high, but it's also technically correct. Like full turnover, everything, not
Like
kind of halfway,
hip turn,
all
everything.
the way hip turn. Yeah.
So when I hear stuff like that, I hear things. I think of kids like Justin Castro.
Yeah.
Would you say she's on par or like
better? I think better. She has better multiple kicks. She's a good multiple kicker. So
would you? Okay,
I
I'm gonna
just
throw
want
out
to
a couple
see her
names.
variety more. I want to see her change it up some.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out a couple names. Tell me, is she better than this person, or is she close to Gemma Wynn?
Close. I don't think her speed.
Wow.
Her speed isn't there on the hook rounds, but I just because I haven't seen it. I've done seminars with Caitlyn in attendance and seen her like improve over that. Knowing that she's an awesome kicker, but still making it a point to do the seminar and get better. So
I'm gonna throw one out there for you, Jeff.
But
is she better than Chloe Bruce?
Technically, yes. Definitely. Definitely.
All right, cool.
All right. So, Caitlyn Vaughn, looking forward to seeing her more out there. All right. And your competitor of the week. This is a good historical one.
Yeah, big deal. My competitor of the week is Preston Clements, Florida's finest. Preston Clements. I mean,
What's
what
up,
up,
Charlie?
Charlie? Preston had probably the fastest takeoff off the line
Correct.
kicking than almost anybody in history. All right. So Preston Clements, like a lot of fighters, we saw him the last few years as a junior being pretty dominant.
Yeah.
And then you said, all right, what's this kid gonna do? What's this kid gonna do? Is he really gonna do that? He's gonna be a middleweight. Is he gonna be all that? He was all that. It was
Yeah.
a big deal.
He started out light middleweight,
Yeah.
and then he
then
switched up to
and then he
middleweight.
went to middleweight, and then some he would kind of bounce between light heavy and middleweight. All right. So and at that time, in like the late 90s and even the early 2000s, you're like, yeah, but there's 1,000 of you guys. He was faster, he was stronger, he was more explosive, and he
Yep.
fought on his left side.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is and everybody is like, oh, the left side doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's left side or to people who are ambidextrous. Well, everybody should be ambidextrous in martial arts. This is true.
Right.
To everybody who's not a lead leg kicker, it doesn't really matter to them. All right.
Right.
But if that's what you do, like I pick my foot up and I kick, it matters what side you have in front.
Yeah.
Because when those legs clash and they battle, there are certain things that you can do and certain things that are not available. And then there are certain things that it's like, this is something you need to eyeball. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he and I really only got one meaningful match. Right. And I kind of really wanted a few more of those, but we just didn't end up fighting each other. He'd be on the heavyweight side. I'd be on the middleweight side. He'd have to go through Ray, or I'd have to go through Jason, and pretty much neither one of us won. So I mean, what are you gonna do? It's Ray and Jason.
What are you gonna do? Right.
Yeah. So, and I had a lot of battles with Jason. You know what I mean? And he had a ton of battles with Ray and Jason. Right. There's nobody Preston didn't fight.
However, Ray, Preston had a lot of battles with Trevor. And a lot of battles with Jason, because at that time that was where they got. Raymond actually was lighter until later on.
Exactly. So. Now there was the one time we fought was so weird, because I remember like midway through the match, there was a bunch of people like around the ring thinking the fight was going to be something other than it was. It was not. It's because I fight with my right and he fights with his left. It's an open stance. So kicking, like, all right, it's not going to go the exact same way because we both were going to go like this, right?
Yeah.
So we both thought, no, I'm going to sit and wait for his kick. And I got this waiting for him. So neither one of us took off. So both of us are sitting there waiting for something to happen that's not going to happen. And both of us, kid you not, both of us are sitting here waiting to ridge hand the other person. And nobody did anything.
Oh, man.
It was weird. It ended in a 2-3 match. Preston won. It was super weird and awkward. And both of us were like, that was the weirdest match ever.
Yeah.
So Preston started with when he hit the top level with TDS Telecom, all right?
Yep.
And had teammates like Jody Tension and Freddie LePan, but then eventually moved his way up. He's on Team Paul Mitchell, all right? And man, this kid, he was all of that. The other interesting thing about Preston Clements is Preston was the only top fighter on Paul Mitchell who wasn't a part of the Exodus.
Correct.
When everybody left the team in the end of 2003, he was the only one who didn't.
Yep.
And that was a really interesting thing, because I'll give the Cliff Notes version for everybody who doesn't know. To that point, Team Paul Mitchell was the baddest team on the planet, all right? And there was CJB, all right? But the way you ended up on Paul Mitchell to that point is you had to be the best in the world at your division, and then you got the invitation.
Right.
All right. But for guys like Trevor Nash, Jason Borelli,
Damon Gilbert,
Ninja Fitzpatrick, all right, they just said, I don't give a damn. I'm going to beat you guys anyway. And as a team, they kind of did for a while, right? Yeah. So the Exodus happens because they want to bring in, help me out.
Jesse Goldberg.
Jesse Goldberg. They want to bring in Jesse Goldberg, who's a good fighter, very, very good fighter. He was the best in his division, but he definitely was not to the same level as those guys.
Right.
They said, no, don't do it. And the team said, forget you. We're going to do
We're
whatever
doing
we
it
want.
anyway.
And they go,
Yeah.
fine. Well, then we're going to leave. All right.
Yeah.
Preston didn't.
This isn't what we agreed on when we signed up.
Right. So
You said
Preston
we had
didn't.
say you said that we were going to discuss it as a team. That was the reason
Exactly.
why. Yeah.
So Preston doesn't leave. And it's like, well, what team are you on, Preston? It's just you and Jesse Goldberg. Then
There were some other guys, but yeah.
Then that's when Alex Lane comes. And Alex Lane
Later
was
on. Yeah.
a badass dude. He joined later on that next year. All right.
Yeah.
But Alex Lane was a product of Preston Clements.
Yep.
So it's not just that Preston Clements is a badass fighter, and he was, right? He was able to coach guys up, one of the best guys up, and one of the best kickers ever. I think Alex, in some ways, was better than Preston, right? But Alex would give Preston all the credit.
Yep.
That's a big
He
deal.
would. Yeah.
Preston Clements.
It is.
I would love to see Preston Clements fighting today. Man,
Me too.
would that be awesome.
Well, and the thing is, Preston comes from a great pedigree too. Like we forget, for being from Florida, he had people that he fought with all the time, like Calvin Thomas, his instructors, and Don Roffey and those guys. And then he trained with everyone else in that area, which, there's so much talent, especially from that era, and Mike Smith and Mike Green and all those guys out there. So really, really just, I grew up seeing him, and then it was just kind of like, boom, he was the best in the world. It was like, hey, yeah, this is a new guy that's kind of competing, and he started to beat everybody. And then within a year, he's in the adults, and every team wants him, and he's the best.
He's on the cover of Sport Karate magazine.
Yeah, he has won almost every middleweight grand for the year. And then, him and Jody are on the same team, and they actually created a bond that they just like fighting together. And that was why if Jody was going to go to JPM, Preston was going to go. If Preston was going to go to JPM, Jody was going to go. They kind of, that was one of those things that was like, hey, we're going together. Because it worked for TDS, and they felt like no matter who was with them too, they were going to be a solid team. So,
right.
So it worked out.
I think one of the one like weird like trivia questions about Preston Clements is, didn't he have a country music album?
Yeah, he did.
The guy had a country music album, and when somebody told me that, I was like, "Excuse me, what? He bought a country music album? No. He has a country music album.
He created one. He made one. Yeah, he was a singer. Yeah.
Funny. Definitely not the norm for this sport.
No. Oh man, so we've had lots of great competitors. Those are our competitor of the week, and we're going to start bringing that to you more, guys, and bringing that every week. We have a lot to talk about, and not too much time to do it. If you don't know what I did over the weekend, was I went to U.S. Capitol Classics, and it was fun.
Jeff, don't hate me for a moment,
sir.
Said don't hate me for a moment, but my niece and nephew just brought me a peanut butter parfait.
Where's that from? From
Dairy Queen, man.
I was about to say it looks like Dairy Queen. I just didn't want.
What's your favorite thing to get at Dairy Queen? Sorry for derailing.
Oh man,
this man.
I did this a couple of weeks ago. First time I went to Dairy Queen like 6 years, and I got and I got a what do you call it? A Blizzard, right? Oh, I love blizzards.
Well, yeah, if you haven't been there in 6 years,
right? And it was like a strawberry cheesecake Blizzard. It was awesome. It had the little cheesecake bites in it. Yeah, it was really good. I used to always get banana split though when I was younger. So I never finished it. But
when you're 7, that's what you get.
Yeah, but you never finish it when you're 7.
It's accurate.
All right.
So we're at Capitol Classics. Sorry.
Capitol Classics. All right. So I go, and here's another thing. Guess who went with me? Shelly went with me. All right. And the 2 boys. So first time that all of us have gone to a tournament together in a while, and me being the only one competing. Because in the past, when all of us did, the kids were competing, I was working, she was working. We were pretty much as a family running the NBL or running our tournament or running the Southeast Conference. So this was a little different with just all the attention either being on me or, it was just different. So we've talked about that. Is it smart or bad or not smart to bring your spouse to
Well,
a
tell
karate
me,
tournament?
how did it go?
But honestly, it was good. But she kept thinking that she was distracting me or that she was bad, bringing bad vibes. But it wasn't,
Hey, at least it was on the forefront of her mind.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
I had a good weekend. I won first place in my Korean division. I won first place in creative. I did 5 divisions. So I did creative forms, creative weapons on Friday night. Saturday at 8 in the morning, I did traditional forms, and then I thought I was going to fight right after, but we ended up doing the senior grands right after that. Then I fought, and
Which we gotta talk
then
about that.
I ran across the room to do Korean. And then when I'm thinking, all right, I'm done and I'm getting ready for the night show. No, we don't want men's traditional to be in the finals. So we're going to run this off again. So I just felt like the whole time, the whole day, I was just like on edge. Like, okay, I'm ready to go. Wait, I don't want to miss this. When are we going? When are we going? Instead of having that time of, okay, I have a couple hours. Let me chill. Let me get ready and just relax. I never felt like that this weekend. And that was the only issue for me with the tournament, and it doesn't really have anything to do with how it was ran or nothing. It was just the circumstances that I was dealt that week, this weekend.
5 divisions.
Yeah, that I did.
And so like you and Edgar Cordova trying to prove. Why you got to do so many dang divisions?
And I took a couple out too. I was gonna do musical and stuff.
Could imagine.
Yeah, but yeah. So I did that. Overall, it was a good event. Lots of fun. There were some things that, I felt, I know I have to improve on things that I need to get back to training, just basic stuff. I've been doing a lot to try to work on my stability and my strength for my kicking and my balance. But I need to just get back to doing some basic stuff, just like basic kicking drills that I haven't done in a while, that I need to get back to doing, just really just doing. I've done a lot of slow motion things, but not my fast speed stuff, to get where my leg can just boom again. I've been working so much of really working the technique and how to do it that I need to get back to my explosion type things. So I felt that with my sparring. I felt that with my open forms, with certain things. So
great.
Did
you hear what you called it?
Open forms? Yeah. Well, that's what it is. But yeah, my open forms. But anyways, so let's see. Friday, not much, to it. Myself and Joseph Bine competing, some other good competitors around there, competing that night. Just really enjoying and watching everything going down with the 18-year-olds and how that's doing. The only problem I'd say is don't put in the system all the 30-year-old divisions, then all the 40-year-old divisions, then all the 50-year-old divisions. It's like alternate us so we have breaks, and it'll actually take less time. We'll just go. So that's one thing I'd say don't do again with trying to put all the senior guys and females in the same ring, because they do it on Friday and Saturday, with that. So don't do that. I don't think that didn't help anybody,
That makes sense.
As far as, teams and open weight, that was fun to watch. I think that, our buddy, Charlie had he was fighting real good, and then he got caught with a crazy kick from Bailey that cut him open. And him and I I love talking to Charlie, because he was just like, where did that even come from? Like, I was so close to him. How did he even kick me? He's like, he hit me with a Jeff Doss kick. I'm like, what the heck? But it was just like, because it was a weird angle where it was like Charlie's standing right here, Bailey's here, and somehow Bailey's leg chamber gets up to where it catches him in the side kick right in the face. Just that's Bailey Murphy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the athletes
exactly
of today, and Charlie is a damn good athlete.
He is. He's an amazing
damn good athlete. And if he's there telling you, how does he even do that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That should tell us something.
Right.
I'm so impressed with the fighters of today. I'm gonna tell you.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of times on this show, I'll say, that's garbage. Nope. As a whole,
Yeah.
the fighters of today are
They're
some of the
smarter,
best of ever. Are
and
some of the best
there's
ever.
a lot of them are smarter too.
Yes. And here
Have
and
game plans, have strategy.
yeah, there's always like, 4, 5, 6 guys that could win the whole thing. And then there was like a
That
significant
next tier.
gap.
Yeah.
And then there's the others.
Yeah.
That gap
That
is
gap
starting
is
to close.
Yeah, big time.
And that gap is starting to get here.
Yeah.
So what that means is there aren't really any cheeseburger fights anymore. For the newbies
No.
that don't know what I'm talking about, cheeseburger is someone that doesn't know that they don't know. Like they don't know any better, right?
Yeah. I'll explain my story about fighting a cheeseburger.
They don't
in a
know
little bit. So
that they're about to go in there and get whooped, right?
right.
They're just in there, and you see the intensity, and you see like the growing cup on the outside of their uniform, and you're like,
Yeah.
you don't know where you're at. But this is cool. It's all right. Then those are some people will put highlight reels on them, right?
Correct.
Those matchups are over, right?
Yeah.
So now the things like the jump spin kicks, they don't happen. They're easier to land on those guys
Right.
because those guys are easier to time.
Dude,
right?
I swear Bailey was just naturally throwing jump spin kicks like just out of just habit. Like that's what's crazy, you know what I mean?
And to
And
be naturally throwing them like that,
yeah.
that means, and I mentioned this a couple shows ago, you have to be doing that all the
Over and over.
freaking time. All the
Exactly.
time.
Yep. So yeah. So Friday was good. I mean, everything done, I think, by 8 p.m. Maybe 8:30 was the fights, but and most everything else was done. Lots of good, junior competition is always there.
Yeah.
Some big news, seeing Darren Darren Payne wearing the Team Dojo TDE uniform, Brayon officially wearing the Diamond G3 uniform. So
Yep.
some big things, and both of those guys had, really Brayon had a great weekend, making it all the way to the grands, to the overall grand against Christian, who
Probably his best
who
tournament
won.
in a very long time.
Yeah,
In years.
probably so. Yep. So I mean, there's just so much to focus on, to talk about.
Yes, just forgive us if we just don't get on everything because
Yeah.
spoiler alert, we're not going to get to everything.
Right. This weekend their big focus was pushing the women, the females. So great job. Congratulations to Gabrielle Rudolph, who won almost all of her division. She won the grand there in the forms for the women's. Sarah Campbell won the weapons grand for that. This is like her second or third overall. So congrats to her. That was great. They also had the junior 14 to 15-year-old and 16, 17-year-old fighting in the finals, as well as the boys. So there was a good amount of fighting in there, which was good to see. Unfortunately, some of those, I feel like they shouldn't put that in the finals. I don't like the grand. I think the open weight final would be better.
Wait, explain. What are you talking
Because what happens is they have the short versus tall. Unfortunately, pretty much in every fight, it was a blowout. Okay. The tall person won most of the time. Okay. It doesn't always happen that way. But when you saw the open weight, that wasn't that case. The open weight fights, because I watched most of them on Friday, they're really close. And it was different people. Sometimes it was two people who were in the short division. It was, they beat all the tall people during the first round, and then the short came in, or vice versa. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to hear some other people's feedback on that. What is going to be the better?
I'm going to ask you this, Jeff. What is the goal and the point behind putting those fighting divisions in the finals?
To one, to highlight more fighters. Two, to give something to the people who, especially the fighters who travel all over the circuit and feel like they get nothing because the forms competitors are on stage all the time. I think it's more of a, hey, this is highlighting you guys, and also bringing some more people to the finals that maybe don't want to.
So that's a good point.
I mean, if I had a team of junior fighters, why go to the finals?
There's no
except just
point.
to except just to watch the adults and say, all right, this is what, but for some of them in their defense, I've seen these guys fight 17 times, you know what I mean? Or whatever,
So
I mean, I don't think that's the best attitude. You should go and watch the best,
you should.
but
So
again, yeah.
looking at that, I think you're right in everything you said. But I think if we look at that and go, all right, we want to put more things more fighting in the finals so that it's not just forms. Okay. You got to take something out.
Yeah.
Because if you want to make it balanced, then you got to take something out. Like if my cup is full, right?
Yeah.
It's full of water, but I want to have like Gatorade and water.
Well, they did. They took all the.
I can't just add Gatorade.
They took all the traditional grands out, and they just put a demo. So Dawson Holt did a sword demo. Joey Castro did a forms demo. As I got runner up into that. Joey got runner up in the traditional weapons. So they did that part. The other thing is that you got to forget. You probably forget, and most people do, is that a lot of these, especially right now, the same people win the traditional for the juniors and the open. So they just go on stage to do a demo, or they just go get their award. So there was some time, the one thing that I don't get.
Then why are we doing
some people may be upset at me with this, but for team demo, when you have team demo, they have a division and you have a winner, and that's it. They don't go against anybody else. But what they do, they take the top two and then go back and say, you run again. So hopefully you that got second place could win again, could beat them this time. I just think, if you win the team demo division, you won a demo division, so you get to be the opening demo of the tournament, or a demo in the middle. Have one instead of two, because that does take a while,
It does.
I get the idea of wanting to compete, but the name of your division is demo, so you're a demo person, not a competitor. I hate to say
exactly,
but I mean, still, I just feel like that's inherent.
I'm going to compete in the demo division,
right?
That's like what it's the biggest oxymoron ever.
Almost as bad as musical traditional, right? Which we'll get into.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So, anyways, those are some things with the finals. We skipped some stuff. All right. 8:00 in the morning, us senior divisions have to go. I'm doing 18 plus and 30 plus. Do my form. It's cold, man. It was one of the coldest venues. I'm sick of these cold venues. Anyways,
that sounds fantastic in this Africa-like heat.
And then Grands goes. There's 5 of us. We have a real good senior Grands with great competitors. Doesn't turn out well for me. It just is what it is.
No, don't gloss over that. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Who are the people in the division in the Grand?
Joey Castro, who ended up winning. Drew Derek Bisbee.
Yep.
Eric Tremblay. This is forms, by the way.
Yep.
Joseph Bine and myself. Okay. So good division.
So good division, good names, good competitors. Some better than others, but Joey Castro winning it
makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. It's Joey freaking Castro.
Yep.
Tell me the order, Jeff.
I believe it was Joey, Joseph,
Joey Castro, Joseph Bine, runner up.
Joe Bine was runner up.
Continue.
Eric
Side-eyed.
Tremblay, and I think it was Drew and then me. So yeah, so I was last. So yeah.
Let's think about that for a moment. Okay, we're talking, and this is the traditional Grand.
No, open. Like it was the senior Grand. So you have.
I'm sorry, senior Grand. So there's both. Because the senior forms Grand. Accurate?
Yep. Right.
Okay. So in this situation, I just can't understand it. Obviously, someone's performance can be worldly, out of this world, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. Did you see what this guy did? Get out of here.
Right.
And someone can lay an egg. Did any of that happen?
I don't
Did
think
anybody
so.
lay an egg where you're like, dude, he bombed it?
I don't think so. Unless I
Did,
did and I didn't realize it, but I don't think
okay.
so.
Did
My form was
anybody
way
else?
better than Friday.
Did anybody else have a performance that was like, I cannot even believe I saw this from that guy?
No. Everybody did, what they.
Okay.
I thought what they. I mean, everybody performed well. So.
All right, good. So here's how I'll tell you they got it wrong. Okay. And remember, I didn't watch it.
Right.
Okay. I'll tell you how it's wrong. So we got Joey Castro and we got you, opposite ends of the winning and losing, right?
Right.
So if anybody were to take their student or child, right, and say, listen, you guys, I need you to really take their form to the championship level. Who are they asking? Don't answer it. I'll answer it. They're going to ask either you or Joey Castro. And that's not to say that everybody else would not be great.
Right.
But first people they ask is going to be you or Joey Castro. So what in the world?
Yeah. And I think Drew as well. Drew's one as well. But
right.
I definitely agree with. Yeah, I understand what you're saying on that. Yeah. So
it's aggravating.
It is what it is. It's aggravating. It's aggravating. But I think everyone hit their performance well. But yeah, it was interesting how it was viewed. But the next thing, all right. So I fight next, right? So this is a fun story.
You told me that there's something here, but I haven't heard what it is yet.
All right. So it was supposed to be like 4 of us. For some reason, Tony Lopez, I think he was busy coaching his students, Tony Lopez Jr., TJ. So he didn't make it. So it ended up being Larry Gonzalez from Revolution, and he had the seed, right? So, and it's me and this other guy. I was like, I don't know where he's at. I don't know who this guy is, but it said blah, 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 his name. And it said like 31 years old, right? So the person that I see, I was like, who is it that I'm fighting? Oh, this guy. I don't know. Hold on. We're trying to see if he has all of his gear. It's this guy.
Wait. We're trying to see if he has all of his gear.
Yeah. So
red flag number 1.
He's got a tank top on.
Red flag number 2.
He's got sweatpants on with pockets.
Red flag number 3.
Right before we're about to start, he's like, hold on, let me take my keys out.
This is the best.
He didn't have elbow pads, so he had to. So
does he got like Jeet Kune Do gloves on?
I'm looking at him and I'm like, this guy's supposed to be 31. Like, man, he's got a rough 31 years, or maybe he just lied about his age. He either looked. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He had no mouthpiece as well. Yeah. And everyone was just kind of looking at me like, Jeff, be careful. I don't know if this guy's a fighter. Just kind of dance around at first just to kind of see what's going on. And everyone was really like concerned about this guy going crazy. And it was interesting. Okay. So before it starts, I'm already up before the match even starts because I'm up 1-0 because he didn't have his gear. Right. So, and I thought that Terry said, because Terry's talking to me and he's like, be careful, this guy. I don't know what's going on, what he's going to do. So just protect yourself. Like, yeah, I got it. And Sean Elliott's behind me and we're just kind of, whatever. For me, it's like I've gone against these type of people in local tournaments. In Virginia, tournaments are like this a lot, right?
Oh,
but
circling back really quick. This is what we're talking about a cheeseburger is, guys.
Yes, this is what a cheeseburger is.
Right here.
Yeah, I was kind of even thinking like suspect. Like this is kind of, I don't know what's going on here. So
this is a cheeseburger with hot sauce.
Yeah. So we start and he's kind of talking trash to him. He's kind of like doing this and he's like, oh no, you got nothing. That didn't hit. No. And I'm just kind of like, all right. And then I put my leg up and he moves, he runs away and he goes out of the bounds. So I get another point. I get about 4 points without actually even making contact. Okay. It was kind of funny.
Running away?
He stepped out of bounds. Then I side kicked him and stuck him, but it did hit his hand. But I stuck him good with it, right? And I hit him. they give me the point for it. And he's kind of talking trash, and that's kind of where he gets a little angry. So he tries to sweep me. So, and I just kind of take it. I was like, nothing happened, you know? And so I get a point for that, for the penalty for him hitting my leg. Then at this point, Terry is just kind of like done with this guy because he's kind of trying to talk to the judges, and he's made everyone wait, and he's just kind of like, let's get this guy out of here. So that way, like, we don't have to
get
worry
on to
about
normalcy.
Yeah, get some normalcy going on. You know, I really thought, I was like, I don't know. I thought maybe it could have been crackhead. I didn't know. All right. It was kind of wild. All right.
No,
so
wait. Were you also wondering if he's in the wrong age division?
I was thinking that too. I was like, are you sure you're supposed to be here, man? I mean, you sure? I don't. I think there is video. Yeah. My teammate, Jaden, got some videos, so we'll have to look at that. And so, like, I'm really not doing too much with winning. You know, I won like 9-0. But here's the deal. We have to DQ him because he gets mad and he just tries to take my leg out. So he does a low kick, like a roundhouse kick to my leg, and I just take it. And I mean, it didn't hurt or anything, but it was just kind of funny. Then Terry says, all right, that's it. You're done. DQ'd. We're done. Go chill, Jeff. And as soon as I turn around, like, he does that. And like me, I go to, like, just natural thing is when that happens, I walk to that way to be like, and then everyone's like, Jeff, no, don't go over there. And him, I'm like, oh yeah. And Yoskar is like, just gotta be careful, man. I'm like, it's fine, dude. It's not a big. I don't know. I guess everyone just thinks because I'm so calm and relaxed that, like, I can't handle myself, or I don't know, man. I don't know, or that I'm just kind of, it's like, no, it's all good. Like, but yeah. So that was just a crazy experience. I hadn't had one of those in a while. And it's just funny too because of where it was at. It was at a big tournament, So anyways, I do that. I get second. I lose to Larry in that. A good match, 6-4. And then I go to do Korean. And when we get into Korean, I'm already kind of pissed off because I find out that they're going to do the grands right after, like immediately after. And this has happened already to me, like this year.
The traditional grand.
Where and a lot of times with the Korean division too, we go last, they run us, and then they run us right immediately after. And it's just like, come on, like, this is just this, it's not fair, either give all of us a break or whatever. Now, eventually that's what happened. They gave it to us, but they kept changing our ring, and we didn't know what was going on. So
you got a break, not because they wanted to give you a break.
No,
you got a break because they couldn't get their stuff together.
Exactly. So they were wanting to do it on stage right after with the same judges, which I really didn't want. That's the worst thing. You don't want the same judges you got, because you had to do a good form to win. Like, what are you going to do again, especially without, you have to do a completely different form, and you don't get the time to really stretch and work on it, which for other divisions isn't a big deal. But if you win Korean, for me to do something better than OG, I need a long time to stretch. I really need to get a nap, and I need to rest, so that way I can do Moon Moo,
Wow.
To be honest,
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen during the daytime. So just
for
being honest with that.
We've been talking about Moon Moo for a while. All right.
Yeah.
Moon Moo. We've been talking about Moon Moo for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right. So Moon Moo, that form it's really like that. I didn't even know about this form until you talked about it like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Gee, almost 3 years ago.
Yeah. Next week is 3 years, man.
Can you believe it?
I know, guys. It's crazy.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right. When I saw that form, I was like, this is the dang form to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do it and you're that good, that's what you do. So, yeah, to run you guys back to back, that's not fair.
Right. So we do, we go over to the other ring. We had a good group, Joey Castro, Diego. He beat Joey in the Japanese division. And then we had Larry Gonzalez from the Kempo. So I ended up getting runner-up. One judge gave me first, and the other ones gave me runner-up. One gave me third. But, I felt good with that. It's just bummed, because at least every year that I won Capital Classics, I was in the finals. So it was like one of those things that, I just want, especially for Korean division, I just need to be seen, and Korea needs to be seen. There was not one person in the finals that did a Korean form at the U.S. Capitol Classics.
And this is what you and I talked about from episode 1.
Yep.
From episode 1, we've been talking about this. On the NASCAR, we're just going to talk about this one because that's kind of the bubble in which we're talking about. All right.
Yeah.
It is mostly Korean-based stylists or systems. Not all, mostly.
Yep.
All right. And
they're all doing Japanese form.
They're all doing Japanese form. When we talked about Japanese versus Korean, why are we doing that? Which one's better? Right? Why? And if so many people have Korean-based style, why are they doing Japanese forms? We talked about this. All right.
Because it's harder to nail a Korean form. It's harder to nail one and to stick it and to do it, you know.
And if anybody thinks like, oh, you guys just sour, you go back to the John Chung show. We had John Chung, maybe the greatest Korean forms competitor ever, right? Yep. And what did he say? When I asked him about that, I'm gonna tell you, Jeff, in the history of the show, that was one of the coolest moments ever, right? Yeah. When I asked John Chung, and he goes, well, Alex, what do you think? And I'm like, you're going to ask me what I think?
Yeah.
And I told him, and he says, I think you're right, Alex. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is mark down this date.
Correct. Right? Correct.
But no, because John Chung is all about that. All right. There are so many high level Korean forms that I learned from watching John.
From watching him. Yeah.
For real. Right. Total sincerity. Right. Now, as my system, Junri system. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and yes, we did have that. And Junri is Taekwondo, right? So it's not like I don't know it, right? But when you do a Junri system, sometimes you don't do every Korean form under the sun. Right?
No.
So that's why watching and seeing someone like John Chung, right? You're like, yeah, you're the best right now, and I'm not blowing smoke, right? Jeff, what you talked about is you're like, I want to be on stage so Korean forms can be seen. Right now, until somebody else is out there, it has to be you. Jeff Doss is the best Korean forms competitor in the country. So unless there was somebody, if there was, you know, Eric Jacobson, whatever, I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is. Right. If he was the best in the world, then we would be like, we want to see Eric Jacobson because he's the best at this.
The best. Yeah.
Right. It's a little aggravating.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, exactly, Drew. And you know, and I work with Gabrielle in a Korean, but she's not going to do Korean form. She's going to do Japanese. So that's what her focus is right now. So
could you imagine if she got really comfortable and
she could have done. She actually should have done Korean because she still would have won the grand.
The length of those kicks.
I know.
Wow. Just even doing something different.
Thanks, Drew.
Something different, like maybe like Kwanghae. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would be cool.
And the thing is, you know, and Drew gives me a lot of credit too, because he says my forms can still they can beat the Japanese forms. You know, it just depends on I just have to have the opportunity to go against them, and not just me. There's other people too. There's some other females that I know are amazing. There's some other people on the way up. You watched my Korean division. What was one of the things you said?
Man, I'll tell you this. I was one of the only things I was really able to watch from the tournament this weekend. And I really liked watching that Korean forms division. And I remember looking at that going, I could see a lot of potential in some of these kids here. All right. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm changing. Maybe I'm not getting so like negative. Maybe it's the dad in me. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. But I'm looking at it and I'm seeing it and I'm like, I can see the potential from some of these guys, and some of them were the Tang Sudo guys. All right. And then there was a couple performances where it's like you didn't know that you didn't know. You know?
Right.
But I just saw a lot of good potential where if they stuck at this for a couple of years, they'd be phenomenal.
Right.
Really
Exactly.
phenomenal. And I only say a couple of years because I'm like, in a couple of years, you could potentially be some of the best we've ever seen if you stay
Right.
at
If you
this.
stay at it. Yeah. Yeah. It was cool because one of those kids messaged me and just said, thank me for inspiring him because he thought that he was too old to start competing on the sport karate circuit. He's 24. He said, I thought that I just waited too long to do it.
Wow.
And then he said, and I see you at 38 winning, like dominating and winning this division that I want to win. And so it was really cool. And now I'm helping him. So I'm going to start helping him get better, you know?
He basically
And
called you an
so,
old man.
yeah, I was kind of like, all right, you call me an old
Welcome to
man,
the
but
club.
it was kind of, yeah, but you know, whatever. But so it was kind of a cool thing, you know? Yeah. So yeah, exactly, Doug. Yeah. You didn't get your Bible 35 and man, you're out there competing. So I love it. Overall, a good event, fun event. One of the things that I got to sit down and judge some of the runoffs after I did mine because some parents apparently didn't like one judge, and so he just removes himself to avoid the issues. And so I sat down, and
He made the
just
choice
made
to
me.
remove himself.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, I don't need this. I'm out.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And you know, it just made me think: what do judges look for? And for me, I just want people to know what I look for and why. You know, when I sit. And I'm telling you, like the first division I have, we have Maddie Kinaway, Sophia. You know, it's for the traditional grand for the 14-17 females. So 3 amazing competitors. Immediately, I look at the feet. So are you rooted to the ground? Where is your weight on your stances? One of the things that, especially in these forums, all the competitors are doing now, there's a lot of cat stances. Back in the day, there wasn't too many cat stances. There's some in, you know, Shotokan and stuff. So for me, you see that, and I look at where is their knee to their toe, right? Because for me, I'm thinking physical wise. If your knee is hanging on the inside and sagging down, that's not good for your knee. That's bad.
It's
Your
a bad
weight is off. So there were some people who are really good. That was the only thing I saw. The other thing is where your weight is on your cat stance. Should your weight be more on your pinky toe or your big toe?
Oh, for the rear foot, for the support foot?
No, for your front one, which is on the ball of your foot.
It's on the ball of your foot.
So it should be probably on the biggest. More of the weight should be on the big toe, right? Not the big toe, but the ball of your foot, right?
Well,
do you know what I'm talking
now
about?
I'm going to ask you a question.
Instead of being all here on this side of the foot, that's not where you want it. Yeah, I'm putting my foot up. Okay. All right. We put it right here on here. This is going to be the strength of your foot, right?
But
so that should be
now I'm
where
asking you a legit question. I'm asking you a legit question. Wouldn't you just want it centered right in the center of the ball of the foot?
The ball of the foot, the big toe, is where the focus is, because that's where the biggest
center of the.
And the way your foot goes, it goes in that order, right?
It does.
Yeah. So it doesn't. It's not like the biggest toe is in the middle of your foot. Doesn't work that way. Okay.
All right.
You get what I'm saying?
No, I do. I just had to do it with my own foot on the ground. And I'm like,
if you put it
exactly
all
what I
on
do.
the other way,
yeah, of course.
Guess what? That's how an easy way to roll your ankle, or an easy way for that to happen, right? So surprisingly, I saw a high level competitor. That was things I noticed. Now, the person they were competing against did things like when they're here, if I can see air in your hand, that's not a good fist, right? So I need to see that closed, right? There's some things like that. There's some chambers. There's wrists being weak, you know. So there's a lot of things that I saw, and I didn't really expect to see those mistakes, because until you're that close, you don't really see it. So I think sometimes us as audience members, we don't really understand what is actually going on until you get up there to a judge. So one thing, give the judge a break, some judges some breaks sometimes. 2, I hope the judges are looking at below the waist. I hope the judges are looking at the feet planted, because I know
Yeah.
I was, I hope judges are looking at, I mean, please do not put your thumb in your hand. Okay. All right. Do not do that. Do not have your thumb sticking out like this. Okay.
Well,
Don't,
I don't know
when
if
you
you
kick,
want.
have a floppy foot.
Do you want to
Those are
bring
things
up?
that we think we should know. So what are judges looking for? Go ahead.
Do you want to bring up that little side conversation that you shared with me?
Oh, about
I
myself
kind
and
of feel like, without naming names,
yeah.
I feel like you should.
So yeah. So and he'll probably say it. You know, one of the guys who competes with me, he has daughters, and he listens to our show right now. He was telling me about, someone that his daughter lost to stumbled, and he explained to me, he's like, well, I just don't get, so stumbles are winning, and the judge, he approached the judge and asked that, and so the judge said, your daughter was punching like this. He said, yeah, but a stumble, like this girl stumbled. And he's like, well, now I don't know what the judge told him, but when he told me, my first thing was, well, I hate to tell you this, bud, but for me, I would have given it to the other one too, because this is a broken hand or a broken thumb the whole time, right? That means you actually messed up. If you threw a punch 20 times, you messed up 20 times.
You messed up every move.
Every move.
Because it's not
Instead
just
of them messing
this
up with a
punch.
stumble, one
It's
move.
the other hand. The other hand's sitting
Exactly.
back like this too. It's every punch.
Exactly.
Then.
So I think that's something that some people don't. A stumble is easy to pick out, guys. All right. It doesn't take good judges to pick that out. Okay. Thanks, Doug. I'm glad you did. But good judges pick out the things like that. Like those are safety issues, right? If your hand is like this, it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
If you don't have a strong hand, that's a safety issue. Those are things like that should be done. Me as a judge, my job is not to go and tell those competitors that, though, because that starts a whole can of worms. You don't do that. But if they ever want to ask me, those are things that I'll ask. I'm looking for safety issues first. I'm looking for foundation things. One of the things that I looked at when I was looking at someone like a Maddie Kenway, who ended up winning the overall, is her body mechanics. And when people say, well, what's that? Like, her body is moving in a rhythm that makes sense. It's not offset. It's not, it's going as one, when she does her form. That's the key thing to look at,
Okay, you might want to touch back on that. I know what you're talking about.
Right.
But I feel like that went right over some heads.
So, and it might have, especially with her form, that's kind of the way it is with that white crane style. But it's not like my lower body is stuck here and my upper is doing stuff. Everything flows from the center all the way down to the roots, right? And so what that means is that when I step in to strike, I lead with my foot and then I go and attack. Not where I'm leading in and then eventually I'm going to get there, where everything is just too tight. Her body mechanics were super strong. Now, there were still some other little issues, but again, we're talking about juniors that have things they can improve on,
Well, so I'll talk
and so going to the next thing goes to the next division was CMX girls. So I thought, well, actually it was weapons first. And there's a lot of issues with people's stances right now with that back foot, that foot curling, right? Curling up.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because there's issues centered wise with where they're pulling from with their weight, and a lot of it is actually inconsistencies in their muscles. Like they're not actually activating their glutes a lot of times is what the issue is. A lot of people don't know that. There's a lot of issues with that. We'll skip on to that. But the next one was musical forms. So I thought that the point of this, and we've talked about this before, to separate the divisions was so that way traditional and open were not against each other. And then now it just makes it harder, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm judging a CMX division, and I'm like, guys, like, what are we, what are we doing here? You know, like, am I judging this based on that? You know, the thing is, I end up having to give it to the musical forms, which, listen, she's an amazing competitor and it's an awesome form. Does it fit in the division? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Because again, a CMX competitor would not be allowed to go and do that same form they do in the traditional division. So why would a traditional competitor be able to do that in the open? I think the rules need to be changed. There needs to be a change in that. That's just not fair. You know,
Well, wait a
yes,
minute.
you're right.
You
Also,
touched
stands is
on
way too
something.
long. Go
You
ahead.
touched on something. Basically, what we're talking about, just laid out. We have traditional forms competing in musical forms.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Winning.
let's go back. You said that they were split and separated so that the traditional forms didn't have to compete against these
Open.
more highly difficult forms.
Right.
Because let's rewind a couple decades. Okay.
Yep.
We had form division, everything. And then we were like, well, how do we do forms and like weapons together? We should have separate divisions.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Form, weapons.
Then they wanted to do a musical division. So
all
they
right,
did a
then we have
musical division.
Men, women, boys, girls,
Right.
forms, weapons. Okay. Everything is starting to make sense.
Yep.
But then we have someone doing, which I think was the right thing to do at the time, was maybe a little too late. You have someone like John Valera, doing a form like
and I understand that we're going to touch that before we finish.
And that's in he did his form that which everybody's always seen in the Korean forms division, right? It was probably time to change that,
right?
Years before they did. Okay,
yep.
And then how many like Taekwondo like traditionalists were going, what the heck is this, right? Which justifiably they should, all right. So they split it so that they didn't have to have that thing. Okay, well, what have we done now? So we've made it, and which was fair at the time. So we made it to where it's like, all right, let's make this fair. Let's put you in your division. Let's put you in your division. What you've actually done ever since like 2004, when they started making this not open, they started doing creative and extreme. Really what they've done is not incentivized anything. They've made ways to penalize everything, right? They've just made ways to penalize and DQ things and make it easier for the easier form and division. We want to make that one the one we highlight. Why the heck we want to do that? Who the hell knows, right? So look at what we have. We have a division, extreme. You have to do this stuff. You could do one. All right, fine. Now you're in
one, and then you don't have to do a certain amount, just one. That's not.
You do a creative form division, and all they're looking for is, did you do too much? You're disqualified.
Right.
Like, what are you? That's all you're looking for. You don't even.
And then the music, it used to be about choreography. It's not anymore. It's
you're
just
looking for ways to
have music.
There's nothing. All right. The only person I can remember in recent memory who won an overall with a creative form was Marcel Jones.
Yeah, Tyler Weaver did it recently, but yeah.
But in the grand he did Korean or creative.
Yeah, you have to do it now. You have
now
to
they make you. That's true. Yeah. But look, that's two people, and the two of the greatest forms competitors.
I think Alan Davies did it as well.
But you see what I'm saying, though, right? Like you can't think of anybody to do that. So basically, now this creative division is just this extra division that an extreme forms competitor or a musical forms competitor does. That's just what it is. It's just this extra division. Okay. So, but now because we don't want that type of form competing against traditional forms, which in the traditional forms, we've already elevated the easier to perform form over the more difficult form. Easier, better, dumb, whatever. Not going to open up that can of worms again. All right. So now we have the traditional form putting in some background music. So, they do this really easy form where there's no difficulty in.
But a lot of times, though, it's not background music. A lot of times they're the most right now, and this is the argument.
I understand.
This is what Drew's saying is like, but the traditional men are the only ones who are choreographed to the music. But here's the deal.
Two things can be true, though. Two things.
Why aren't then why aren't the other ones being choreographed? Listen. And how come that the traditional competitor who's choreographed is getting scored high, but the open competitors who are choreographed are not. They're getting scored low. Like that makes no sense.
Because you can
For
look
example,
at somebody,
again, let's go back, and I hate keep putting myself in this, but I got last and I was choreographed. Let's just.
and you can look at this and you can go, oh, he bent his back knee once.
Right.
The hell does that matter? Right? This guy did a form that he didn't have to do. He had no difficulty. It's easy to not bend your back knee when you're moving 2 miles
I'm
an
not
hour.
gonna say it's completely easy. I think the forms are tough, and there's something there. But I know what you're trying to say. I just don't think it's comparable, and it's hard. And the reason why we changed it is so that way we didn't have to do that. Especially we can do that when we had the best two. It's a little bit more comparable. But when you got 6 or 7 of them and they're doing different stuff, that was the reason why we split it. You know.
Well, here's the can of worms that they're opening up. Okay. Because there are some traditional forms. There are some traditional forms that have like 360s in them, right?
Right.
Have jumping 360s. Here's the can of worms that they're opening, because I could see somebody doing this and getting pissed off and be like, challenge me. Where they can go, listen, in our system, this is a traditional form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they go, well, where's the root of it? We need to do that. You can't do that, because how many forms are we doing in the Japanese division, which aren't even a form?
Right. Right.
They just made it
So
up.
that was the one thing that my fiance. So my kids have been to tournaments for years, but this is their first NASCA event. So there are a lot of little things like, whoa, what? Wait, this is traditional weapons.
This?
What is this? This is traditional weapons, or why are people? And that was the biggest thing. Are you serious? Why are they putting music to traditional? Like that's just a no in our. It's like no, you just don't do that. It doesn't make sense.
Is it traditional? Are we doing the traditional form?
Right.
Or are we doing a musical form?
Right.
Well,
and here's the deal.
Music to it, it's no longer traditional.
Because the person that won the musical won with the traditional. I gave her first in the traditional grand. She didn't win first in traditional grand. She didn't win the traditional grand. She won the musical grand. On stage, she decided not to do the music and did the and just did it without, and she won. She probably should have won before. I'm not saying neither competitor's good. I think both. And again, I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It's Sophia and Maddie Kenway. Both of them are amazing martial artists. Great.
Yep.
But again, I just feel like there needs to be a rule change. There's got to be something, because the other argument that everyone always says is that everyone just does the same form 3 times or 2 times and they never change it. Well, this is the same thing happening in traditional too. So now you have Japanese, they have traditional challenge, and now they have musical. So 3 times to do the same form, right? So it's the same thing as extreme, creative, just take the flip out, and then musical, right? And then weapons, it's even worse, because creative, most of those people, it's the same form, they just take the flip out. Their creative form is probably the most different form that they have, like actual form, not weapons. So it's just kind of wild. So, they messed up her music on stage. Okay, but she didn't need it anyway. Personally, I think she's an amazing competitor. She didn't need it. So
I like a really good form with no music.
Me too.
I like in the finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like even like an opener extreme form without music is really cool.
Right.
Right? Because how many times can you hear techno music and see people upside down? Right? Let's just give some little change.
And I think that needs to be a thing too. There has to be some type of rule put in place for where choreography comes back to where it looks different. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I feel like this trend of traditional forms winning should actually make them do that.
Well, I'm going to make another NBA comparison, right? Because I love that. So,
and then we got to wrap up.
We got to wrap up because we're already OT. So, I do not really love the player James Harden. I think that he's not
Right.
as
You've
good as
mentioned
he
that.
is.
You mentioned
And
that
part of the
already.
reason is because I believe that he just manipulates the rule so that he can get a free throw, right?
Right.
He had more free throw makes than field goal attempts, right?
Right.
And when like, how is that even possible? Anyway, point is, all right. But there's no reason for him to change
Correct.
until the refs decided we're not going to call that anymore.
Yep.
There's
That's
no reason for him to ever change. They stopped calling it. Then they're like, wait, why is he having a down year? Because he manipulated rules. Now
Right.
he has to change the way he plays. If you want to change the way people play, all right, perform, all right,
Mhm.
we need to change what we're doing. If you keep awarding them the win, guess what? People don't necessarily care that what's better between a Japanese form and a Korean form. If you keep awarding a Japanese form over a Korean form, they don't understand that one is better than the other. They look at that and go, that's what they award the win for. That's
Yeah.
what I'm going to do. If you keep awarding non-choreographed musical forms, they're going
Right.
to keep doing that.
Yeah.
If you keep awarding a musical traditional form, which I can't even believe that's in a sentence,
Right.
right? They're going to keep doing that.
Right.
It's not on the competitor. It's on the official.
This is the
more
funniest
so
thing.
on the system.
The funniest thing that judges told me after he gave me a low score would be, "Oh, it's great to see you kicking. Keep doing that, man, because nobody's doing it." And it's just like, okay, you want me to keep doing it, but you're not gonna reward me for it.
Award me
So
for
it's
doing
kind of yeah. So it's just funny. Like
I'm just
eventually
here
that kind
for
of gets
your
old, right?
entertainment.
Yeah, it just kind of gets old after a while. But there are people that are that are out there kicking. So I hope to look forward to seeing more of you guys. Again, maybe I need to create a crew, a kicking crew. I don't know, man, and have that out here,
Ooh,
Korean kicking crew, or I don't know, man. We'll
bring
see.
kicking back.
Yeah, man. So, but all right. So this was a great show. And again, another amazing show for Capital Classics.
Yep.
I love going to Dennis Brown's tournament. Great event. I mean, the hotel is awesome. I mean, just it's wild, a while, and it's great that you can go anywhere and get stuff to eat. That's not always the easiest thing. So, but yeah, definitely a great event.
Yeah, the
Next
little
week,
National
guys.
Harbor area is really cool.
It is. It really is. Next week is our 3-year anniversary. So we want you guys on the show with us. So message us
Topics. What do you
in.
guys want to hear about?
So message Martial Arts Internet and say, hey, I have a topic that I would like to, or a question I would like to ask on the show. We will bring you on. We'll have about 6 or 7 of you guys. You guys will stay in the background until it's time for your question. We'll pop you on. You can stay on in the background and watch the show from there, or you can watch whatever else. But next week, we are going to be having our 3-year anniversary, and we want you guys to be a part of it. What do you want to bring to the table? And you can discuss with us about 5 minutes, and then we'll go to the next one. So this is going to be really cool. Lots of fun. And we just want to thank you guys for these 3 years, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. So
I think it's so cool that
we
doing
would
that.
do it, but it would be kind of boring. It wouldn't be the same. So
You said it.
Because again, I talk sport. We talk sport. We would just be texting each other like we do every day anyway about sport karate. But
man, good hanging. This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Daw. See you guys next week for 3-year show. Thanks, guys.